Hi guys, can you hear me? All right, give me a minute. I'm just looking for an option to share my screen. All right. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great evening. Welcome to the session. Today I will be talking about getting started with poetry. Hi Rashmi, you cannot see me because I haven't switched my video on, but I'm sharing my screen, so I hope you can see that. All right. So, like I said, we'll be talking about getting started with poetry. In my previous session, I spoke about the basic differences between poetry and story writing. And today, let's dig a little deeper into writing itself. So, we'll be looking at the prerequisites and how to get started, where to get started, and moving. So, prerequisites, it is basically what you must know before sitting there with a pen and a paper or fingers on keyboard. You must have a rough idea about what you're going to write in the paper. Otherwise, a lot of time goes into thought process, research, etc. You will end up having a writer's block even before starting to write. So the points I will discuss now must be the points you touch upon when you're getting started or when you're getting back from a break, right? So because poetry writing is not as easy as writing stories, uh, poems consume more energy because they reflect our real emotions, and emotions are obviously a little messy. So the first thing I would suggest you is to read a lot of poetry. The reason behind this is to understand yourself. You must know what you like and what kind of poems do you resonate with and what your genre is. So, do you want to write about family or about love or about the society, nature, friendship, politics? There are numerous topics. You can write about all of them, but in your heart, you will want to write about one of it. So, find that voice in your heart. And another option is to listen to poetry recitals. So, talking about recitals, there's a YouTube channel that I follow. It is called Tape a Tale. They are great. There are multiple such channels, so you can just, if you know or discover any other channel that interests you, you must go ahead and subscribe it and have a look at a few videos. They will inspire you to get started. This is, in fact, the best way to go ahead because you can read and listen to poetry with an intention to understand what you want to write and how you must write it, right? So, open YouTube and listen to a poem. There's another Indian poetry channel. It's called Unerased Poetry. So you can check that out too. So the reason I'm asking you to do this is because, um, you know, why you must listen. If you ask, by listening to it, you will understand the beauty of construction, how to write a poem, and the stress they put on the syllables and where they place the unstressed syllables. It will give you a great idea of what kind of words you must use, and is it necessary to rhyme the lines, or how exactly should you place the rhymes. And also about line breaks. Breaks are very important. You cannot write a poem like you write a paragraph. So you must know how many words should a line have and how to make it sound meaningful and beautiful. I hope I'm not complicating this, but the thing is, y- if you're getting started, you might not know a lot of things with respect to language or how to write, and so that's the reason you must notice all these things that others are doing, because you cannot take a course or a degree just to write one poem. So these are just basic things which you will understand by listening to someone else or reading something that someone else has produced. um, so when you're ready with this information, that is when you can get started. So again, what information? The one that we discussed, your genre, your interest in writing it in a specific way, your idea of construction, words, rhyming schemes, breaks, etc. So with this, the next step is to bring in your A game, that is to start writing. And also, a very important thing when you're writing poems is to write for yourself. Every other person is going to tell the same thing. Write for yourself, because it must be as real as it can be. Guys, I'll be taking the questions later, so I'm not reading the chat right now. Um, okay. So the thing is, a lot of people might have blurred the line between poems and prose. So let's just discuss like the very basic difference between it. Um, the difference is very minor. Proses are the quotes that you find on the internet, or for example, they do not have any line breaks, rhythm, or rhyme or anything. They are basically about a single idea. Poems, on the other hand, they are a bit more structured. The language is more aesthetic, and when someone reads it, they know that uh, you have put in a little more effort into a poem than to a prose. So coming back to getting started with writing is, you can always start small. In fact, you must always start small. So try writing a short poem like a haiku or something simple and rhyming. The thing about having a poem that rhymes is you you will have fun with it. You know, you by listening to it, you'll feel like writing more of it, and even people would like listening to something that rhymes. So for a beginner, it's always great to have four lines that rhyme. um, yeah, so the when you get started, it can be short, 4 lines, 6 lines, or how many ever lines that you are comfortable with. Then the point of starting small is, once you get the feel, you will go with the flow. So it is okay if the poem is basic. You can always come back and make it a masterpiece again. Uh, and next thing when you're writing is to be open about the tools that are accessible. So use the thesaurus or a rhyming dictionary, or you can Google for new words, you can Google for the synonyms. Uh, you can just bring in these things, external ideas, and put in your poem, because a person, when you're writing, you don't always have to know the right words. And moving on is, after starting up with a short form, you can extend it. So 6 lines, add 2 more lines, 8 lines, make it a little more descriptive. Try telling a story with your poem. So now, based on what we spoke, you have a poem which is enhanced by referring to new words or phrases, and you have made it longer. So now you have a purpose in the poem, and you have a subject of your poem. So what you have is a great poem that is ready to be read out loud. But how do we know that if it is a good poem, right? So luckily, there are no rules or checkboxes that classify a poem to be good or bad. In general, good poem will always offer the universal truth. So if someone reads your poem and they feel something, then you have written a good poem. And that something can be anything, be it anger, irritation, love, sadness, joy, anything that they can relate to, then you have written a great poem. So the next part is, can one not write a poem unless they are really feeling it? This is what runs in everybody's mind, because anytime a poet talks about writing a poem, it's basically what they are feeling, they're throwing up on the paper. The exact same thing. What's running in their mind is what they have put it on the paper. But the thing is, can someone who is not feeling anything, or if I'm not angry, can I not write a poem that describes the feeling of anger? Of course I can. You can, everybody can. The poetry is an imagination, right? It's the reflection of your emotions. That is when you can produce them in the truest form. But it need not hold true always, because there was a time we would write for ourselves or for our lovers. In my case, like there was a time, and now we actually write for an audience. And um, and when you look at these two poems, writing for ourselves and writing for audience, you will know the difference. It will be very evident. But anyway, you can go ahead and start writing irrespective of what you're feeling. So if you feel like writing, you can pick a few topics that makes you feel good. If you don't have any idea in your mind that you want to, if there's no overflow of emotions and you still want to sit and write, so you can pick simple topics like, writing about a photo or the things that you see in it, or some imagination, build over it. So poetry is also imagery, so you have to make the reader relate to you. So talk about all the things that you can see in your imagination and then put it in words. Or you can write about a place, the way it makes you feel, what is special about it. Or you can write about a dream. You can describe it like a reality. There are multiple options, right? Like talk about the people in it, or mention the colors, the smell. These are very basic things that, when you phrase them properly, they make you feel very good. um, you can also use real life incidents to get ideas, or your surroundings, the news, your friend's life. So it's really fun converting a reality into a dream, or dream into reality. So that is one kind of poetry that is mostly read and enjoyed. But always make sure the poem has a meaning. So after reading the last line, the readers must feel what you wanted them to feel. So okay, next let's see what are the two major kinds of poetry, right? Like when you have started writing, you should know a little basics about what are the different kinds and what you are writing and all, right? So there is narrative and lyrical. These are the two major ones. And what narrative is it's basically a story, narration. So you tell about an event, and then there are few extra elements, characters, there's a plot. It's basically a story in a poetic form. And lyrical, the other type of poem, is it's similar to a song, or it can be about really basic things, like it can describe a feeling, it can be about a scene, or it can be about what's running in your mind, state of mind. So these are the two kinds. And we have discussed about how to find inspiration to write, and what are the other topics that you can look at before starting to write. And now you have a poem. Now that you have a poem, you will write many more such poems. So what can be the next move, right? So you have produced something, you are loving it, you feel really great that you have written something by yourself. Now, what can be done with the piece that you've written? So every writer wants to have a supporting career moves, right? They want to have book deals and some productive, valuable connections with respect to writing. So you want a claim with credentials like publication or a presence in any of the writing community. So basically, the next move should be showing your piece to the world. So I'll be adding a few helpful links in the comments later. So if it is for the journals, you can publish it in the journals. Then you can get scholarships. Like what are, I'm just talking about what are the options that are available if you have a paper with you with your poem on it. What else? What can you do with it next? So you can publish it in the journals. Then you can actually get scholarships for writing. This is of course, there are multiple submissions. So if you're lucky enough, if your work is great, you there is a chance that you can get a scholarship. And then there are websites that can help you to take it forward. So I'll maybe add the link later on of all the different websites and scholarship links or journals. So now we'll discuss more about the platforms that are going to help you with your process. So I personally feel having a blog is a great idea, but it is tagged as old school now, and you cannot have a greater reach, obviously, because blog it's your own personal website. So, but you can always go ahead and create one, right? Um, you have for you can have that authentic feeling of being a blogger. So it's a great idea to have your own blog, but you cannot expect that it's going to do what you want it to do. Of course, there are other websites where you can have your account and you can post on their websites and people can follow you for your work. And in these kind of platforms, the reach is greater because they have huge number of followers and you will get your audience from there. So you can create a free account on Medium. Medium is a website. You might have heard of it. So that is a good website, and Wattpad also. Um, then you can go through the pieces that they post, and you will get an idea about what kind of work, what kind of writing will work out for you. So these two websites are maybe mostly you will find short blogs or stories. So to get special attention for poetry, you can create an account on Hello Poetry or Poem Hunter. So these two are poetry related websites where you can find your audience. So this is explicitly for poets, and people actually come here to read and enjoy good poems. So you can try writing in any category. There is no restriction for exploration, and you will get to read poems from all over the world. Which reminds me, it is very important to connect with other poets. So even this is a process of becoming a poet, is to know the other poets. So reading other people's poetry, and you must be ready to share genuine compliments and feedbacks, because in the hindsight you will need it for yourself, and many will be ready to return the favor. So this is how it works: you compliment someone and they do it back, and and this is how you can keep your inspiration fueled. um, Talking about all these sites, the thing about the internet is that it has common rules. It would be great if you can if you can find time to post your work on as many websites as possible. So you can test the waters, you can explore the new formats and ideas, and you can understand what others are doing. So many a times you will be sailing in the same ship, same ideas. Like by knowing this, by knowing what others are doing, you can avoid, or you know what you can avoid those topics, or you will know what exactly you can dig deep into for the audience. So also, this is a field where encouragement is necessary. That's the reason you have to support them, and you have to give and take compliments. Also, you must post regularly, right? Since you're on the internet, you have got a platform to be present. You are supposed to be present all the time, which is, I feel, a little difficult, but yeah, that is the rule. So uh, if you want to create a lasting experience, your presence must be consistent. There is an Indian app called Your Quote. So I guess it has a lot of advertisements right now, but that is also another great place to post poems. And how can I forget Instagram? So you can go ahead and make a page for yourself on Instagram. It's a great way to earn followers, but you must keep posting consistently and be aware of what is happening to the algorithm. So the disadvantage of being on Instagram is that you must always be active. You're going to become someone who posts every day at 8 p.m. and make reels and videos and post stories of all of that, and spend time thinking about how to gain more followers, or why are people unfollowing me, or even silly things like what font should I use or what background pictures should I put. This is all a bit of a distraction, but if you can manage this millennial internet pressure and still produce authentic work, then it's great. So, one of such person that we know about is Rupi Kaur. In Instagram was where she became big. She started posting 3 4 lines as quotes every day, and before she knew, she has a book now and she's recognized internationally. So Instagram is the reason for a lot of us to know about the modern day poets. And with all that, I would also like to mention that do not forget to take criticism with a pinch of salt. Not every audience is the right audience, but you must keep producing your work. You must not stop. And one more thing is that your work is copyrighted. So once you put it on the internet, nobody is going to copy it. I mean, nobody must. So embrace your creation. It's like you're producing a brand new baby that belongs just to you. So be confident in what you're producing and just believe that you're doing something great. Okay, so in this session, wow, it's already 20 minutes. Uh, So in this session, we discussed about finding inspiration, how to get started, and discussed a few topics to write about and a few platforms where you can stage your work. So let me read your chat now. What is creative writing? Is it a part of poetry writing? Um, yes, creative writing is, um, let's say, poetry writing is a subset of creative writing. Creative writing can be anything that comes out of your imagination, out of your thought process, and you're not writing anything for a company or for a website where it's about a particular topic. This is just yourself just writing something that you feel like. Creative writing, yes, and poetry writing comes under that. Mhm. How different is poetry writing from songwriting? um, Most of the times it is same. Like I said, there is a type of poetry that is called lyrical, and that's where songs fall into. It's just they take a poem and they make it into a song. So that's how it works. Mhm. What is a good point? What is a good point for starting to read poetry? What is a good point? I do not understand this. The reason to read poetry is to understand what you like and what you're going to go ahead with. And also, you can understand in general the language and how to write. You can understand the flow. So, you will know it when you are writing that, okay, so let me also try writing 4 lines, these stanzas, or let me write a poem that consists of 16 lines with 4 stanzas or something like that. You can understand what is available and you can do something about it with your ideas. Rumi is a good point to start. Yes, yes, you can. You can literally pick any poet, and Rumi is, of course, a great poet. How did you overcome the vulnerability of sharing your deep feelings with an audience? Um, okay, so the thing is, when you write, it's not, you're not very open about it. Most of the poets, they tell this one basic thing like, no, this is not based on my real life, it is just my imagination. So that's how I overcame my vulnerability, by lying. So I told them this is not related to real life, this is completely fictional. um, just focus on my poem. And yeah, but in general, when you're speaking the truth, after a point of time, there is nothing to fear, right? It's just 2 3 of them who are going to, just let's just say, judge you or comment on what you are doing. But other than that, you think about the larger audience. If 2 of them are going to sit there and ask you questions that make you feel uncomfortable, you can ignore them. And then there are 20 more people waiting who are going to enjoy reading your poem and relate to it at a different level. And they're going to come back to you and tell that I could relate to this. It made me feel good. So you must focus on that. And it's hard when you're starting out, but as you grow up with this and you get used to it, it's just nothing. It's not a big deal. Who are some poets you get inspiration from? So I like Pablo Neruda, and I don't admit this a lot, but I like Sylvia Plath, though she writes um, a lot for people who are not mentally stable. But I feel her writings have so they have a different kind of depth that it's scary and it's also beautiful. Okay, can you repeat the websites? uh, okay, let me just copy paste the links. I'm sorry guys, it didn't come properly. I'm going to come write again. Rashmi, the websites you can connect with other poets is, why don't you try Instagram? It's it's super accessible. You can just comment and DM them, and I think most of them are very open about interactions. And that's the reason I could get in touch with. India's best-selling author Savi and her husband Ashish. Even he's into poetry writing, and he has 2 3 books. So I think they are also very excited to encourage the new talent. So that's where you can connect with other poets, and Instagram you can find multiple of them. All right, so that is all with the questions, and okay, then I hope this session has been helpful. I will take your leave now. So my name's Archita Reddy, author of Time Bound. Have fun and stay safe. Thank you.